how do we continue to innovate and keep the sport fresh, but also how do we become a more efficient and effective organization off track. F1 is the pinnacle of motorsport, so everyone wants to win.
Formula One is big business. F1 racing attracts more than 500 million fans from around the world. In-person race attendance gets close to 500,000 at some venues, and the global viewing audience now averages about 70 million people per race. In this special episode about the business of Formula One, I'm joined by McLaren Racing's Co-Chief Commercial Officer, Matt Dennington, and Director of Sustainability, Kim Wilson. We'll also hear from Anna Marsden, Managing Director of the Great Barrier Reef Foundation, about how the technology behind Formula One can be used to find efficiencies in sustainability initiatives. Matt, thank you very much for joining us today.
Thanks, Pamela. Good to be here.
Well, let's start off with just talking about the business of sports. Your CEO, Zach Brown, had said earlier this year that he believes that every F1 team is north of, valuation-wise, over £1 billion. What's fueling this extraordinary growth and interest?
Yeah, so first of all, the sport is in a great place. I think Liberty Media, since they acquired the sport a number of years ago, have done an incredible job in putting the building blocks in place for that growth. I think it would be remiss not to talk about Drive to Survive and what a phenomenon that's been for the sport. It's done a great job in sort of drawing the curtains back and letting fans get to know the characters behind the sport and what really goes on.
So that's Netflix, that's media. What about some of the other factors?
I think the way in which the teams are embracing the growth of the sport as well. There's huge demand for content, the capability of the teams, the social media, the content that's being created to further deepen and enrich the experience for fans is another sort of key element. So I think that's the challenge that all of us in the sport have, which is how do we continue to innovate and keep the sport fresh.
And let's talk about winning. How important do you think winning is in this highly, highly competitive sport?
F1 is the pinnacle of motorsport, so everyone wants to win. We've certainly been on a journey over the last few years to get back to the front of the grid. We're in great shape at the moment, but the grid is so competitive. We talk a lot about sort of commitment and resilience, commitment in terms of going that extra mile. Sport can be really sort of black and white in terms of that line between success and failure. And I think, you're probably going to have more bad days than you have good days. And then finally, just from a consumer standpoint, we're all about the fan and how do we deepen those experiences and that engagement opportunities alongside our partners for our fan base.
These partnerships that you speak of, it really goes beyond just the racing, petrol, and the cars. This F1 really has emerged into an extraordinary platform, much more beyond racing, to have those brand promotions and partnerships. So what do you think is attractive about this platform and unique about this sport?
Well, I think sport in general has this incredible ability to bring people together. So, and that's a great opportunity for our partners to be able to connect with the audience in a really authentic way. I mean, we're sitting here at the Conrad, one of the Hilton hotels, who have been a partner of ours it'll be 20 years next year. So how do they deepen the experiences for their Hilton Honors members? And that can be anything from meeting the drivers to, spending a weekend being a part of the teams. The audience growth has been great for the sport, but I think the diversity in that audience has been incredible. I think we've seen an influx of 306 million new female fans since 2017. So that's certainly an area as McLaren, as a brand, that we're trying to tap into. We're seen as being the most inclusive team on the grid. So a lot of our marketing and activity leans into that.
And because you have seen such great success and the audience growing so fast, do you feel like at some point you've reached a saturation, or are you just getting started?
Oh, I think we're just getting started. I think there's many touch points that the fans now are able to connect with the sport on. You've got lifestyle brands coming into the sport. You've almost got this this sort of coming together. F1's providing a platform for, fashion, film, arts, music, and it's just great to see all of those passion points coming into one spot for the fans to engage with.
We're going to segue now into one of the other big opportunities being created out of this ecosystem, and that's parlaying racing team discipline to solve the world's biggest environmental challenges. Kim, Anna, thank you very much for joining us. Kim, what makes McLaren so successful at this sort of initiative?
So I think we have three things. Firstly, McLaren's invested in a team of sustainability experts and professionals who are looking at what our impacts are and what difference we can make. So we've got the professional discipline within the team. I think the second thing is we've got this great team called McLaren Accelerator, and they work exclusively with our partners, and they translate F1 know-how, knowledge and expertise into solving real-world problems, and they're working on some sustainability solutions with us. And then I think the other thing is that we've just got an amazing platform where we're able to, through our fantastic network of partners as well as our fan base, really use that to educate and raise awareness about the things that we're doing and some of the issues that we're backing.
And one of these partnerships that you're supporting is the Great Barrier Reef Foundation. How is McLaren helping out?
So our partnership with the Great Barrier Reef Foundation is all about how we can apply F1 engineering expertise and know-how, working side by side with the amazing marine scientists and engineers that have been working on how to restore the reef, the Great Barrier Reef. So they've looked at the end-to-end process from growing corals in the lab and then taking them all the way through to into the sea.
And Anna, from your perspective, how is McLaren helping out the Great Barrier Reef Foundation? Is it fundraising first and foremost? What other skill sets do they bring to the table?
We're trying to save this ecosystem that sits on the front line of climate change. And to do that, we've got to repair and restore the corals that are damaged through a range of different, extreme weather events. So marine science has brought us to a point where we know how we can grow baby corals, how we can make them hardier, and how we can get them in the ocean. But what McLaren have done, and it's sort of a real game changer, is they've identified 4 key points along that process where automation or a little bit of a shift in the way we approach it can truly change the output, so the volume, and bring down the costs. And this allows us to think that we've got a meaningful solution to give coral reefs a chance for the future. With McLaren's support, the target is to take that $15 per coral down to $1 and go from 100,000 corals to 1 million. So these are real game-changing numbers, and numbers that we never thought that would be possible.
Now back to you, Matt. So this one's more specifically about McLaren Racing. What is it about the brand itself that resonates so strongly with people?
Yeah, so, we are one of the most successful Formula One teams or racing teams within the sport. We were able to tap into a lot of the great champions that have driven for us in previous times. The Senna, Prost, Hakkinen, Hamilton are all drivers that have won the World Championship, and working hard to really establish them as a part of our legacy moving forward.
Looking to the future, F1 World Championship 2024?
Yeah, big question. It's we're excited. We feel great about the position that we're in. There's huge belief in the organization. We have great support from all of our partners at the moment. The grid is hugely competitive. There's 4 teams that are at the top and are racing really hard. So let's see what happens. But we're excited for it.
Kim, Anna, who's going to be the winner?
It's Team Papaya all the way.
I think we're quietly hopeful.
Wonderful. Thank you very much to the both of you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you very much.
And that was the business of Formula One. A big thank you to our guest, McLaren Racing's Co-Chief Commercial Officer, Matt Dennington, and Director of Sustainability, Kim Wilson, and Anna Marsden, Managing Director of the Great Barrier Reef Foundation. Thanks for tuning in to IC Your Trade Season 5. IC Your Trade is brought to you by IC Markets, a leading high-performance trading provider. Trade up to IC Markets. See you next time.